Hey, fifth grade. So we are in our final two poems today before we wrap up this last grouping of poems. The poet Robert Pack invented today's form, which he called rounding it out. His collection of poems that are written in this form open with a morning song, an Aubade in praise of sunlight. And you can see I went ahead and search the dictionary so you can see the definition. An aubade is a poem or a piece of music appropriate to the dawn or the early morning. Okay, so now jump back over here into this poem and follow along with me. Aubade. Our sun has left just half its life to spill, about 5 billion years before it must explode, collapse upon itself, and will back to the universe its final thrust of heat we creatures have long counted on. Waking warm here in bed, we trust this light to help imagine when light will be gone. About 5 billion years from now, it must experience diminishment, as we must too, as must we all. Observers, we can find our last content in comprehension that the fall of the yellow petals on our windowsill, like little suns, is what we have to will, a melody to whistle in the dawn. Our sun has left just half its life to spill. All right, guys, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to see if you can determine the form of a rounding it out from this one example of Robert Pack's. Please go back in and comment and give it your best shot. So I'm not looking for anything specific here. I'm just looking to see if you can figure out the form that he invented. Remember, when we've been looking at forms before, we pay attention to the last line. Sometimes we pay attention to rhyme scheme. We pay attention to repetition. Sometimes we pay attention to how many lines each stanza has, or the meaning, or the repetition of words. So if you go back into this poem, I'm asking you to try and crack the code, so to speak. And then if you think you're on to something, add some comments about what you think you're on to. Give it a really good try. Don't just give up and say, I don't know. Take guesses. I can already see that we have some words that are repeating, and I can see some rhyming going on. So start there if you have absolutely no clue, and hopefully you'll be able to crack the code. Now, I'm going to have you pause the video and do that, and then I'm going to have you come back. So pause your video right now. All right, guys, so I asked you to pause and come back after you thought you might have cracked the code or figured out the form. I'm going to share the form with you, but it's a whole lot of information, so listen closely. So the first thing that I want to point out is that this rounding it out form is kind of a cross between a sonnet and a villanelle, which repeats its opening line several times. There are 16 lines with 2 of these repeating. The first line returns as the last, so you can see that here. And the second line returns somewhere in the middle of the poem and sometimes with a variation. So you see it here, and then you also see it here with a variation. So it's got a semicolon, and it's not exactly the same. Then the other thing is that it does have a rhyme scheme. So we have an A, B, A, B rhyme scheme going on here. You see that? A, so spill rhymes with will, and must with thrust, so A, B, A, B. And then if you pay attention here, we have on and gone. So this is not an A, B. This is a C, B, C, B. So we have on and, we have thrust. That was what was supposed to come next. See and trust So C and C, and then on and gone, which gets carried over to this line, but it's still there. It's still part of that line. And so then we get a CD or CB, CB, because must and thrust and trust and must all rhyme together, so that letter doesn't change. But what we were rhyming with here, on and gone, does. Okay, so it's A, B, A, B, C, B, C, B. Then we have D, E, D, E. Then A, A, C, A, because you see this rhyme scheme coming back in down here. Will, sill, and will, and spill. Okay, so let me go through that again. We go A, B, A, B. Then we go C, B, C, B. Then we say D, E, D, E, because diminishment and content and all and fall, those are completely new. But then we jump back up to that same sound we heard in line A. So it goes A, C, because this is a whole new one, dawn, and on and gone. Okay, so you're bringing in that sound again, and then you finish with A. So this one was kind of complicated because he calls it a rounding it out, but it's a combination of some of the different forms that we've seen. So now I want you to take a look at January Thaw. Here's another example of rounding it out, this time by Brenna, a 7th grader. Let's see if the form is more apparent now as we put the two poems side by side. So now that I've pointed that out and you're able to look at these two together, I think you'll see what I'm talking about. January Thaw. Cold winter took a vacation, and today has an odd spring essence. The birds show a form of elation, and the sun finally presents itself as a radiating globe. It's hard to find any evidence of cold December in my wardrobe. Today has an odd spring essence, and I plan to take advantage of the sunshine by going for a walk and exploring the age of time and rock, discovering inspiration and loving the sensation of warmth as I probe. Cold winter took a vacation. So you can see the first line repeated as the last line. You can see the second line repeated somewhere in the middle. And then you can also see that rhyme scheme at work here. All right, guys, like the sonnet, this is a difficult form, but a beautiful one. It's musical in the way it both rhymes and repeats. Consider rounding it out as a way to comment on and think about one of your experiences or observations. And if you decide to rise to the challenge, be sure to keep a rhyming dictionary by your side because this one's a hard one. All right, guys. Hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you've added a new form of poetry to your repertoire as far as what you know and what you can recognize. Go ahead and turn this assignment in when you're done. Again, your comments were just guesses at the form for Aubade. And that's really it. I love and miss you guys. Can't wait to see you soon. Bye.